Hey you guys, I wanted to come on here and respond to a video that was sent to me by a subscriber. It's a short video from TikTok, and if you guys are familiar with the degenerate and reprobate behavior that exists on that platform, then you probably won't find this to be surprising. Now, before I really get into this video, I'm going to give this disclaimer because I'm no longer going to entertain this back and forth action. I'm one of the few people in the Black community that chooses to make the distinction between Black and biracial. This platform recognizes that there are differences between these two racial groups and will continue to do so. Side note, I really don't understand why that seems to be so difficult to comprehend. I mean, it's really just saying that a person is biracial because in essence, you are acknowledging a person's lineage by saying, yes, I am aware that you have a Black and white parent. Only Black people seem to have this confusion with thinking biracial is Black, and it's not only annoying, but it's irritating at this point. So if anybody feels bold enough to step forward, by all means do so. Just know that the comment will be ignored. Now, this video is interesting because it was sent to me from a DJ's Instagram, and by now the world is aware of the dating decisions made by Black men when they choose to date outside of their race. And I know this discussion is one that's still being discussed, and my purpose with this video is to help keep the conversation going for Black women not to seek flaws within themselves as they become more cognizant of the decisions made by their male counterparts. I think it's sad the narrative put out there about how when some Black men choose these other groups of women, 8 times out of 10, they choose what they perceive to be a treasure trove of diamonds and gold, but to the rest of the world around them, we see cataclysm. From krakens to large tubs of lard to the ugliest fish in the sea, Black men seem to think they've hit the jackpot 4 times over while the world around them laughs at their preference. Now, you guys know how I feel about that word preference. I think Black people seem to have a very lackluster understanding of that word. A preference means that you have a liking towards 2 or more things, and if you were given the choice, you would choose one over the other, but you still like both of them. And a preference is not an exclusion. So when Black men talk about how it's just their preference when they single out Black women, understand that the man is not only deficient in intelligence, but he's doing you a favor. He's taking out the trash by removing himself from his own community, and also apparently he takes the trash out from the other group of men because these women are not desired by upper echelon men within their own community. However, given the very unfortunate mindset of some Black men, this appears to be himself upgrading or bettering himself because he's convinced himself that he's obtained the ultimate trophy of recessively phenotypical people. Never mind the fact that these people take on the most unusual shapes and sizes, even to the point where one may see it as an amorphous or an object with no definite shape. There will always be the faction of Black men that place value in the lack of color beings. Now, before I show you guys this video and join me in Incontrollable Laughter, make sure you go check out ashkickin.com, a Black-owned business. They specialize in healthcare and beauty products, and all of their merchandise is organic and 100% made from hand. So please make sure you go and support, and if you use my code CHRISMORE1, you will get 15% off your purchase at checkout. So definitely make sure and go and check out their inventory. I want you guys to watch this video, and hopefully you'll see why the world thinks Black men are a laughingstock as far as the choice they make when they date interracially, thinking they found a sacred ruby. Okay, so you guys just watched that video, and like I said, it was very brief. Here's the thing. Because Black people view biracial people as Black, this boy would be considered Black as viewed in the eyes of the Black community, you know, because we still adhere to that 1 drop rule. But this person was happily showing off this obese woman in the video, smiling and grinning, acting as though he just won Angelina Jolie or Jennifer Aniston, when in reality he ended up with Kirstie Alley 20 years after her prime. Look, no one is trying to shame these dudes if they want to continue to think they're winning with their varicose vein, deep vein thrombosis wildebeest. Then by all means do it without a single care in the world. The problem becomes when you try and twist the narrative into making it seem like beautiful Black women are jealous of these types. And I take issue with that because how do you not only go to the trash, but you dig out all of the trash and take a razor and scrape the scum from the bottom of the trash can and say it's better than the real diamonds right from within your own community. That part has never made sense to me, and I told you guys my thoughts on interracial relationships already. I believe them to be highly detrimental and inimical. Ever since miscegenation laws were overturned on a federal level, not one single systemic issue has improved for our community. So to me, they're a waste of time, and I don't place merit into them for that reason. Not only do they have a high rate of failure, but ultimately when Black people go into these relationships, they go into it for love, thinking the other partner is in it for the same reason, when subconsciously and sometimes consciously, that other partner relegates the relationship to something physical, such as features, sexual prowess, and to me, this is very reminiscent of the dominant society's odd attraction to inanimate objects and animals. It gives off the impression that their attraction is very animalistic in nature. However, this is something that I believe that this group of Black men don't care about really, because to them, any form of attention from this other race of people is something to be celebrated and worshipped. Their purposeful evasiveness of that is even more perplexing, but I postulate that maybe it is a reflection of their failure to establish resources and infrastructure for their own community, because while our people are still very much in an impoverished state, this particular group of Black men have made the decision to abandon that and divest into another group of people. But the irony behind that is, no matter how hard you try and make the effort to disassociate yourself from the community, the larger society will always see you as less than them. And again, I will say this video isn't surprising, and the sad part is when you pay attention to the screenshot, you'll see that a dark-skinned Black man is the one who placed this union on a pedestal as if this is some type of goal. Granted, I understand that maybe this was done possibly for comedic relief, but the implications still very much ring true in terms of who Black men place value in. And it's sad to say, because it also makes you wonder if this is some pathological sickness that is widespread and only infects the minds of a specific group of Black men. It also brings to light the very colorist ways of some Black men because of how they see value in anything closest to proximity to whiteness, and at the same time, the furthest away from themselves. And so they are wholeheartedly complicit in their own genetic erasure. To some degree, they may even see a flaw in who they are as a Black person. Of course, we can always turn to conditioning, but as I stated in a previous video, there are times where I feel an explanation deeper than conditioning should take place, because there was a time where Black people were empowered during the rule of the Moors, and even Black men of this era still seem to have this strange attraction to recessively genetic women. So we really can't use the excuse of this being specific to the time of the plantation, because this mentality predates that time. I don't want any Black woman thinking that their own men's decision to contribute to their own genetic genocide is somehow a product of something they did or didn't do, because this is something that's unique to this group of Black men. It's good to know that a lot of you at this point are so aware of this mechanism that you just ignore it and pretty much just are like, well, I'm glad I dodged that bullet. And that's how you should move. Also, because of Black women being the least likely to date outside of their race, it shows that they clearly have a concentrated effort towards preserving the race, whereas that certain faction of Black men are actually in pursuit of extinction for their race by means of genetic annihilation. These are just my thoughts on this. I may do a follow-up to this video, but I really don't like speaking on these situations, because to me, I feel like Black women at this point already know they have nothing to worry about, and as long as they're good, I'm good. Before I close this out, because I don't want this video to go over too long, I just want to say this. It's strange how most of the time when Black men date interracially, they base their decision on what Black women would not do for them or couldn't provide them. And really, that's nothing more than a pathetic excuse to engage in decadent acts of degeneracy in other communities of people. However, because Black women don't submit to these men, which when you think about it, why should they? Especially if they can't provide them some form of stability. This group of Black men will in turn make disparaging remarks and anti-Black comments about their own women, which not only makes the white partner feel better, but because of his own self-loathing, the combination of these two horrible equations results in a child taking on that same level of dislike towards Blackness. Now, obviously, this may not be the case in every situation because each relationship is different, but it just goes to show that these relationships are not the paradigm of virtue that society paints them out to be. But on a more positive note, as long as we keep this discussion going, Black women in great numbers will see and understand that they are perfect just the way they are, and to ignore these sad attempts at shaming. And you have to understand that when women from the larger society date outside of their race, it actually lowers their social status, and also men from the larger society look down unfavorably towards black men who do this, because to them it makes it seem like black men are inadequate to a degree, that they can't fix the problems in their own community, so they beg for acceptance in other races and cultures. These are my thoughts on the video. What are you guys' thoughts on this? Do you think that at this point black women are over it and really are just sitting back and watching the destruction happen? And also, do you think black men engaging in reprobated behavior in other cultures or people will eventually result in some form of perilous consequences? Let me know your thoughts in the comments section, and remember that disclaimer I said at the beginning of the video. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.